Okay, so this is just a review of the data we have available for this revaluation exercise. So I'm starting from the Excel spreadsheet that you've provided. We have the supplier's currency, the warehouse item group, the quantity currently in stock, the standard cost, and we have the purchase price. We then have the purchase price converted based on the exchange rate, so I can see that here. And where it's a US dollar value, I can see it's being divided by 1.25. That is then added to the freight value to give me a total standard cost plus freight value. So I understand it's this value that we want to set as the new standard cost valuation for each of the items. On the face of it all looks fine. However, when I start to delve into it, I see some problems. Just take this stock item, for example. When I go looking for that, I don't find that in the database because the actual product is prefixed with a 0. So this is a sort of an ongoing problem that we have in SAP, in that once we export data to Excel, if we don't format the field as a text field, then Excel will strip out any leading zeros on the stock item. You can see it's done that for the warehouses as well. These warehouses are 0, 1 and 0, 3, but it's just to display them as 1 and 3. So I've put in some additional columns here to try to correct the issues that we've found. So first thing we have to do is identify what are the actual stock codes available within the SAP database. So this is a list of the stock codes as they would appear in SAP, and I have done a VLOOKUP against that then, so I can see in this instance we find an actual stock code on the SAP system from sheet 4. Where we don't find a record, I'm just putting in the word not found. And then I'm going to do another exercise whereby I'm going to go and look for the name of the stock item in this sheet here and put in the stock code based on column C. So that's what we have done here. So you can see wherever we have a not found, in these cases we'll see that we have the leading 0 is now put in where it had been missing in the initial file. These items, it's flagged them as not found simply because it's reading them in Excel slightly different to the way they're being exported from SAP. So we have a few of those, but I'm not too concerned. I think overall we have okay data. Just a quick check. You can see as well that the way that I formatted the information coming out here, this is text information, whereas the way it's appearing here is actually a number. So when it compares a number against text, it finds that they don't match and therefore brings up an error. But when we look at the name and pull out the actual stock code, it all sort of reconciles. So I think we're okay on that. So then the next issue we have is we've brought out all of the stock items based on the quantities at the warehouse level. And while that's fine for the review purpose, we can't import in the same item multiple times for stock valuation. So if we try to do that, we're just going to get an error in our import file. So what I've done then is I've chosen to resort the data. So if I just actually highlight all of this and sort my data, and we'll sort based on column 1 on our corrected stock code. And we will sort based upon the quantities we have in stock. So we'll just look for the in stock quantity, and we'll sort by the larger values first, so we get the most appropriate warehouse appearing as the first warehouse. And then we will sort by warehouse. In the event that we have 0 in both or all warehouses, we'll sort by the warehouse number, and again we'll go with the corrected warehouse code. And we should now have our data sorted according to the item code, the quantity currently in stock, and then the warehouse. So I'm doing a duplicate check here now. So basically I'm saying if the value in this cell is equal to the value in the cell directly above, then I am showing a duplicate. So this is the first example we have. So these two are the same items. Obviously warehouse 01 and 03 are listed. There's no stock in either warehouse. Therefore we will go with the warehouse 01. So what I'm going to do next then is I'm going to remove the duplicates. And we now have a file which ought to be ready to begin importing. So if I just run down the length of this file, I'll find that I end up with just over 16,500 items where we have to revalue the products. So to do that, I could use the import utility from SAP. However, there's a nice new function available, and I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. So we are going to start on this line. We'll see why in a moment. I'm going to take these 3 columns of data, and I'm just going to go down some way. So I'm going to go down about 175 odd records. I'm going to copy that data, and I'm going to go into SAP. Within SAP, I'm just going to go to the stock revaluation window. And this is a test database, by the way. I've just created a copy of the live database as of yesterday. And on my stock revaluation window, I am going to resort the first 3 columns so that I have the item code or item number, the warehouse code, and the new cost as the first 3 columns. And that is in line with what we have in these 3 columns here. So if I just go into this cell then, and if I start with doing my paste, it should run through and pull out the appropriate item code, warehouse, and new standard cost price. This is sort of convenient because it also provides me with a quick review of the quantities, or sorry, the valuations that we have on the system as things stand right now. So you can see it's not especially fast to go through this, but it actually is as fast as importing the data at the same time. I haven't tried copying more than 100 records, although in theory we should be able to copy the 1,500 records all in one, or 15,000 records all in one go. For me, the challenge is I'm connecting over a remote desktop connection, so it's going to be that little bit slower at copying and pasting the data across, so just a little bit concerned with that. In any event, I think it's better that we just have a quick review on this before I go importing data to your live system. Okay, so now we've met an item where the system can't find the product. So that's an interesting one. We'll just copy that. And I'll delete that for a moment. So we got as far as row 55. And we'll do a search for that. And it would appear that we have the item. The problem is it's not a stock item. It's an item that we purchase and sell, but it hasn't been flagged as a stock item, even though it's Intrastat relevant, etc. And it has a warehouse. So we have a few anomalies like that in the system. So we will have to check to see exactly what has happened or what's going on with an item like that. So I think that's the sort of thing that we have to just check and discuss before proceeding further with this. Okay, so that's an error that we have on the 55th row of our data. If I come back to my Excel sheet for a moment, and if I can find that item, okay, so it was around halfway down. Okay, so there's it. There's the one. So if we just go from there, so basically I'm skipping the one that is causing me the error. I'm just going to continue with another batch to see how we go. And continue pasting, and we end up with the same error again, so copy on that. And again, this isn't a stock item, so we'll just have to perhaps review that and see if we may need to remove those items from the spreadsheet, or at least filter them out of the revaluation exercise. We can't revalue a non-stock item, essentially. So we'll have to revalue those manually, I think. Okay, so that's just a sort of start to go through the process. Accepting those errors, we'll just have to find an alternative or workaround approach on those, and I'm sure you've met them previously, so maybe better to discuss it before we go too far.